Le Mans Ultimate is on the focus of the sim racing world at the moment. And after a few hours of driving and battling with the sim, I can clearly say that there is a lot of light, but unfortunately also almost as much darkness. When it's running, LMU is one of the best sim racing games currently on offer, period. But unfortunately, it doesn't always do that, and too rarely overall. In addition to abysmal UI performance, menu speed, and loading times reminiscent of the floppy disk age, the sim also struggles with serious performance problems on the track, sometimes has all kinds of bugs, and sometimes even crashes. But there is hope. At least the performance issues can be fixed with a few tweaks and tricks. And also the FFB has some, let's say, not so obvious features that are worth trying out and that can even enhance your driving experience. So in this video, I'll show you what tips, tricks and tweaks I've been able to gather so far, and will also show you my current settings, which give me a very decent gaming experience, also performance-wise. Many thanks to my friends at Overtake for their video called 10 Useful Tips and Hidden Features, also to Dan Suzuki for his great FFB profile, and to HCDC for his settings guide. All videos are of course down there in the description if you want to see the original stuff. But now let's get into my tweaks, tips and tricks.
Regarding graphics, to achieve a bit better performance, especially in the race with a full grid, I did the following in the graphics options. I'm still running on my native resolution with max refresh rate. Vertical sync is off. Post effects are high. No motion blur, and I turned down FSAA 4 times. That seems to make a difference. FXAA is on. Multi-view is off, of course. I only have one monitor. The HUD scale is wide, which it should be. Nevertheless, most of the time it seems to be a bit distorted, not scaling correctly compared to other videos of other guys I've seen. So, well, it is readable. So, okay. And what I essentially did to save some FPS, or get some FPS rather, is to turn down the ultra settings to high, turn down texture filter to 4 times, opponent detail to medium, and the rest is more or less as it had been. And another thing is, I only can recommend that, turn down the visible vehicles. Although this might seem pretty awkward, especially in the mirror at the beginning of the race, this actually saves a lot of performance, or gives you a lot more performance, doesn't drain it that much. So I'm down to 13 coming from 29. That makes a huge difference, I gotta say. The rest is all personal settings. My vertical FOV is 35. It's the same value as an R Factor 2. I've rechecked it. My viewing distance from eye to monitor is 58 centimeters. So 35 is the value to go for me. And another tip to save some FPS in the race weekend, and there under event settings options, you can also set your practice session to private practice. That means that you are actually alone on the track. No other cars are visible. Same goes for qualifying. There is a value called private qualifying. Set this on to default or off. On means, again, you are doing a private quali lap, so to say, with nobody else on the track. For the race session, this of course is not possible. That would be ludicrous. I've watched some guides and applied some new settings. Huge kudos go out to Dan Suzuki for his True Drive preset. Fantastic, enhances the FFB and overall feels so much. But what else I want to show you is this, where I've just ended up here with my, you can read it down there, SimiCube 2 Sport and my CSX3 wheel. I still have to invert the force feedback to have the forces in the right direction, of course. I'm still going with force feedback strength 50%. Force feedback smoothing is on 1. I didn't change steering bump stop degrees. And I set the minimum steering torque to 0. Then I played around with these values to have some more, let me call it, resistance and forces at lower speeds. And these two values, especially steering resistance coefficient and steering resistance saturation, come in handy at that point. I'm not quite sure what they do, technically speaking. Yeah, maybe you know, maybe someone can explain. I cannot. I have just fiddled around with them, and this is where I at the moment stand, having a better feel. At lower speeds, it felt too loose for me initially. As for the rest, I haven't changed anything as far as I remember. That is default, and that feels good. You do want to have some more pull over the curb. That's great here. Yeah, one essential feature is that one. It has been talked about and recommended by everybody. Use steering wheel range from vehicle. That's the basic value you have to put on yes or toggle on to make the matching work. One thing I would like to change is that value. Too much for me. The shaking, especially when recording and showing you videos. Yeah, one more thing I'd like to add here that's not about the force feedback, but it's about the functions I have to adjust and optimize my seating position. I have assigned the seat and FOV functions to buttons on my wheel, but what I actually miss is a function for tilting my view. I do not only like to put my seat in the front and the back, up or down, but I also like to have my view angle adjusted up or down, like we have in most other sims. That's a bit of a pity. I really miss that. Okay, maybe something for the future. For the time being, we have to cope with these values, but these are just fine. Just for your info, I'm using a 49-inch monitor, so that's in super ultra wide, and I'm sitting 58 centimeters away from the screen. So my vertical FOV is 35.
Great physics versus poor performance. Superb FFB versus bugs. In its current state, Le Mans Ultimate is a mixed bag. But it's also on us to make it a blessed mixed bag and not a cursed one. If you've got some more tweaks, tips and tricks on how to optimize the game, please do not hesitate to put them in the comments section. The greatest tip, almost a life hack, is of course this. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel and put on the notifications. Thanks a lot. So 1, let's help each other, and 2, let's help the developers to improve their game and prevent us from eventually having to take an early exit. Have a good time, enjoy your racing, and until the next one. Bye.